Hello and welcome back to another episode. Thank you, my dear students, for coming back. Today's video, we have a lot to go over. So we're going to talk about lists today, and lists is probably one of the most used things in Flutter. So what are lists? Basically, lists are a collection of different variables, different items, and there's two main types of lists. You have a fixed list and a growable list, right? So learn how to spell growable. So a fixed list, basically, you determine how big the list is. And the way you do that is by using our keyword list. We're going to name our list. I'm going to name it fixed list. And then in the past, you used to have to use the keyword new to create a new object list. And then in here, you give it how long you want it to be, right? So we use our keyword list. We titled it fixed list. This underline basically means we're not using it in the code. We call new and create our new list that is assigned to this fixed list. Right? Right now, in updated versions of Dart, you no longer need the new keyword. Okay. So the way you add items to this list is by going. So fixed list, and in here, we're going to say that it's based on an index system. So we're going to say that this first item is an apple. Let's say apple, right? So right now, this list on the 0th index, because all our indexes start at 0, and that's something you have to get used to in programming if you're new to programming. So it's 0, 1, 2, and 3, so on and so forth. Notice this is 3 items. So we're only going to have 0, 1, 2, and I'll show you what happens when you try to add another item to it. Okay, so let's do fixed. Well, let's do something real fast. Let's put this inside a variable called item 1, right? And now let's check it out to see if we have something in there, right? So we're going to print item 1, and let's see what happens. So we're going to hit run, and our console should return apple. And we'll patiently wait for it. I'm not sure why it's going so slow. And while that is going, what I'll do is I will add a second variable. Let's call it item 2. And we'll call our fixed list again. And this time we're going to go to the first index. And we're going to title that grape. And look at that. Just as I was talking, apple appeared in our console. Okay. And let's just go on to item 3, and we're going to say fixed list 2 is equal to banana. There we go. All right, and so down here, what I can do just to get all our objects going is I'm going to copy, print, and then this will be item 3. You got to make sure you spell it exactly the way it is. And this will be item 2. And now if I run this, what I should get over here is apple, grape, and banana. Now, if I go for a fourth item, item 4, just as expected, apple, grape, banana, it will let me fix list item 3 equals, I don't know, orange. It will let me do this. It won't give me any errors right now. The only error I'm getting is that right there. But when I go to print item 4 and I run my code, I will get an error here because I'm only accepting 3 items in my list. Okay. And so there we go. There's my error. So I'm going to delete this, remove that, remove this. And also know, I put it in this variable just for simplicity's sake. You can just come here and say print fixed list and then call the index that it's at, hit run, and it'll give you the same results. There we go. Apple, banana, grape. Okay, so that's fixed list. So if you want something to have a fixed set amount of items in that list, you use a fixed list. What What I tend to use more is a growable list. And the main difference is you just don't set what it is. What you do is, let's title it Growable List. You just instantiate it like this, and you start adding your items. And this is items, I don't know, tools, Dart, just random words I'm throwing in there. And so down here, if I go to print growable list, if I call, so if I wanted to get tools out of this list, I would call the first index item. Because remember, this is 0, this is 1, and this is 2. So we're going to hit run. We're going to get all our apple, grapes, banana, and now we're going to get tools. Okay. So let's say I want to add to my growable list. What I would do is say growable list.add, and then in here I can add, I don't know, Flutter. There we go. And then if I wanted to print that, I would print growable list, and I'll give you a second to think about what number would Flutter be under. Would it be 4 or would it be 3? For those who guessed 3, you are correct. So let's run that. Well, let's see if we're correct. Let's run it first. There you go. We got Flutter. All right. So because our code's getting a little long, I'm going to comment that out. Comment all this out. And just so we can have some space here. There we go. Because we're into the bottom here. Oh, okay. So let's say you want to print out your entire list, but you don't want to do print growable list 1, 0, 2, on and on and on. What you can do is you can use a for loop. And we've talked about for loops in our previous lesson. And you can do int I equals 0 equals 0. And then as long as I is less than growable list. And I mean, well, you want the length, right? So you don't want it to be any longer than that. So you know it has 4 things in here, so you can say 4, or you can use this property called length, and what that'll do is give you the length of the list. And so as long as I, our indexer, is less than the length of the list, we'll keep going. So I plus plus. And then down here, what we'll say is print, and we'll call the growable lists. And then for the index, we'll say I, because remember, it'll start at 0. It'll start at 0. It'll evaluate it here. As long as that's good, it'll keep going plus, 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 plus. So now let's run our code. And we should get, because I'm printing it right here. Let me just comment this out real quick just so we can have a concise. We'll get items, tools, Dart, and Flutter. But there is actually a even shorter way to do this. So I'm going to leave that here for now. And then I'm going to go for items in growable list. What we're going to do is we're going to print items. And it's upset because I haven't instantiated yet. So we instantiated it by calling it a var. So we're creating a container, and it's going to go through this growable list. It's going to do all this work right here that we wrote out. And every time it does that, it's going to put it in items, and then we can print out the value of items. If we hit run, we'll get the same exact results. Items, tools, Dart, Flutter. All right. Like I said, it is a lot to work with. Thank you for staying with me. If you enjoy my videos, please come back for more.